Hi guys, welcome to this week's Focus. This week, you guys have chosen to look into the black nobility bloodlines, how this is prevalent and important at the moment because what we're seeing happening over in the US surrounding the Charlie Kirk assassination has very much to do, in my opinion, with these ancient bloodlines. So who are the black nobility? The black nobility refers to aristocratic families in Rome, primarily in the 19th and 20th centuries, who remain loyal to the papacy and the Vatican after the Kingdom of Italy captured Rome in 1870. It's really important to understand that these guys stuck by the Holy Roman Church as opposed to the government, so you have church and state there. These families who held papal titles rather than those from secular rulers, kings and thus, supported the Holy See in the Roman quest and were distinct from the white nobility, whose titles were granted by temporal authorities, again, royalty. The term is Roman in origin and does not refer to a family's race or skin colour. No, this is the black nobility. These are the guys that we very rarely hear about, apart from some real prominent families, one or two of which we will discuss right here. But let's have a look at some of these families. So you've got the Aldobrandini family, the Borgia, the House of Breakspear, which is where Shakespeare obviously came from. You have Orsini, Conti, you have Colonna and Farnese are a massive family, Medici, and you have House of Este Lauder, really, and the Bourbon Two Sicilies, and there are many others. These black nobility bloodlines intermarried. They married in with what became the British royalty or European royalty, who were not really our original royalty, as we know, Saxe-Coburg-Gotha and, the House of Hesse and all of these lot. Underneath these black nobility families, so controlled by these black nobility bloodlines that you very rarely hear about, are the Federal Reserve, the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, and the Club of Rome. Now, the Club of Rome is the main hub around the Round Table. And an offshoot of the Club of Rome is the Trilateral Commission, of which Keir Starmer, the current Prime Minister of the UK, is a member, and many others. I think even Epstein was on the Trilateral Commission at the one time, which would make sense when you see all this connects together. They are in control of the Company of Jesus and the Jesuits. Now, the Jesuits are going to play a massive role in what we're talking about today. They are the Secret Service, they are the intelligence arm, the agents, the spies of the Vatican, allegedly, and they are kind of like Manchurian candidates, and you can see there may be some truth to this. The Jesuits were set up by Loyola, apparently funded by the Farneses, and this connects in with the likes of the Mayor Amschel Rothschild and Jacob Frank, who was the successor to Sabbatai Zevi in this Sabbatean Frankism, which goes into this Kabbalah cult I talk about. And then you also have Adam Weishaupt, who started the Bavarian Illuminati. He was Jesuit educated as well. Many people saying he was against the Jesuits. He really wasn't. He was Jesuit, not only educated, he was a professor there. And they took slowly over the Catholic Church at that point. So this is really prominent and prevalent when you look at the likes of Candace Owens, who's now Catholic, and you look at Charlie Kirk's wife, Erica, who's Catholic, and the connections to the Jesuits here. And they are also lording it over the likes of the Knights of Malta, with their various different levels below that, of which there are many different ones. It's all compartmentalized, obviously. Then you have the Knights Templar, connects back in with the Solomon's Temple and the Sabbatean guys, and the Temple Bar, and the actual temple where all the law and jurisdiction goes through in the City of London, which is a sovereign state, as is the Vatican. So you're looking at a trinity of a company, really. The Crown Corporation in the Vatican, in Washington, D.C., which is the military part of it, and you're looking at the law and the rules and the order in the City of London. So you've got your religion, your laws, and your military covered there in these three. And it's a crown corporation. That's what it is. The Knights Templar, the Knights of Malta all fall in line with that. Now, I just want to have a quick read of this because it gives you some background into who the black nobility are. Now, obviously, we've only got so much time here to cover on what we can cram in this video, so this will be about you going away and doing your own research, but let's make it very clear that these families are very much still in control now, and you can see that evidently with the situation with Charlie Kirk. So, it is alleged that the Venetians come from the Canaanites, and the Venetians became the black nobility. The Venetians today control the Federal Reserve System in the US. Around AD 1400, European power centres coalesced into two camps. The Ghibellines, who supported the Emperor's Hohenstaufen family, so the royals, and the Guelphs from Welf, the German prince who competed with Frederick for the control of the Holy Roman Empire. So you had two factions there. The Pope aligned himself with the Guelphs, which is now what we see as the black nobility. All modern history stems directly from the struggle between these two powers. The Guelphs are also called the Neri, black Guelphs or black nobility, and supported William of Orange, who that's when our British royalty went out the window, in his siege of the throne of England, which eventually resulted in the formation of the Bank of England and the East Indian Company, which we all know as the East Indian Tea Company, which controls much of the world still today, although it will be under different names and different companies and different banners. Really, it comes underneath the crown. Three of the main people, and again, these are much lower level guys than you would think, that brought about this in the late 1700s were Jacob Frank, the successor of Sabbatai Zevi, brought Sabbatianism into Sabbatean Frankism and made it even worse, which is just the inversion of the Judaic faith, and it's a perversion of it, which is what we get, I think, with the likes of the Lurianic Kabbalah. The Rothschilds, Mayer Amschel Rothschild and Jacob Frank knew each other. It was the Rothschilds that were funding the likes of Jacob Frank, and Adam Weishaupt, again, who was a Jesuit. Although he claimed not to like the Jesuits, of course they're going to tell you the opposite of what they actually do, and he was infiltrating the Catholic Church. Now, why is this so important today, in 2025? Well, it's pretty obvious that they're still around and still very much in control. Charlie Kirk's wife, Erica, and I'm not saying or implying that she's to blame for any of this. This is a horrific web of corruption that goes back thousands of years. But she has been seen wearing the Knights of Malta pendant a few times, which is really the Royal Order of St. Francis I. The specific ones which I believe she's got on, but there are many different ones that look very similar. But it is underneath the Knights of Malta, again, who are controlled by the likes of the Bourbon Two Sicilies. She is also Jesuit educated. So she would be a Jesuit in the Catholic Church with symbols of the Knights of Malta on. The Knights of Malta, the Jesuits, are controlled by the Bourbon Two Sicilies, allegedly. And then the Bourbon Two Sicilies, Prince Carlo, Duke of Castro, I believe it is, very much up there. But again, seems to be underneath the likes of the Farnaces. This goes up and up and up, and probably into worlds outside this realm they're communicating with now, technology, but used to be sacrificial rituals. You can see an image here of Prince Carlo with Pope Francis. Pope Francis was the first Jesuit Pope. The Black Pope, the Grey Pope, and the White Pope all come under these families. And here you have Donald Trump, here with Prince Carlo of Bourbon Two Sicilies at Mar-a-Lago. It's quite clear that these guys, so this is the guy that controls the Jesuits, the guy that controls the Knights of Malta, with Donald Trump there with his two daughters and his wife. These are the guys that surrounded the likes of Charlie Kirk. So there are three popes. So let's have a look at this is the Grey Popes. You have the Black Pope, the White Pope, and the Grey Pope. Everybody knows the White Pope. Recently there's been a new one. Pope Francis, the Jesuit, was the White Pope till recently. till he passed. We have the Black Pope, who heads up the Jesuits, who's their military leader. It's the military arm of the Vatican, but really above that, I think it goes to the Bourbon Two Sicilies, but the Grey Pope is supposed to be above them, perhaps not the Bourbon Two Sicilies. So it really depends on what information you get to try and define the hierarchy, but let's just stick with they're all involved with this weird stuff altogether, and they are the black nobility bloodlines, regardless of which way around the power control is. We have these ancient bloodline families that could possibly be traced back to Babylon and Sumer, possibly even to Atlantis and Numeria, or at least they'd like us to believe so, that are very much in charge behind the scenes and never went away anywhere. So meet Pepe Orsini, the Grey Pope, the true ruler of the world. I would argue that's not true. He is the ancient Maximus clan of Rome. He is of the ancient Maximus clan of Rome. He remains behind the scenes, pulling the strings of literally every secret society and every human slave in the realm. I don't agree that he's in charge. The Grey Pope, I believe he's just another element of this. The Bourbon Two Sicilies, the Farnese families, and the Orsini families, all of these families, I think, struggle for power. But again, they are the black nobility bloodlines, and that's of the Maximus clan, the Orsini family. So then we have what happened just a couple of days ago at poor old Charlie Kirk's ceremony. There was all sorts of symbology going off there, wasn't there? All sorts of symbology going off. You had the divine sparks going off with the golden fireworks, which was a bit weird and a bit WWE-like entrance for her. And then at the very end, you had her, Erica, doing the love symbol, I love you symbol, which most people have mistaken for the devil's horns. Now, there's arguments over what this actually means, and Helen Keller and introducing it as the I love you symbol after she went, I think she went blind and deaf, God bless her, because she was involved with a Scandinavian religion and also followed Blavatsky and Theosophy. So there's all sorts of backgrounds to this of what it actually might be, and who knows what it actually symbolises to her. But we do know for a fact, regardless of that, that here you have on stage Donald Trump and Erica Kirk, who are both Jesuit educated, both connected to the Knights of Malta. Trump through the Bourbon Two Sicilies, and Erica is wearing some sort of Knights of Malta symbology on her necklace, and that was in a podcast with her husband. And now, did he know these things? I'd assume he probably did if I did, and you did. You do now. So, this is a different world they're operating in. And then we have the curious bit of information that my friend Wayne McCroy came up with this week, that we put out on our Synchronistic show, which you can see on YouTube, that Tyler, so the guy that allegedly assassinated Charlie Kirk was called Tyler Robinson. The Tyler is a degree in Freemasonry, or a position of office in Freemasonry, where they really are the guardians, the gatekeepers to the door. So when you go to the door to get into the room for the main meeting, that's who you'll meet, the Tyler. I don't think these things are by accident. You had Kash Patel saying 33. Took 33 hours for them to do their investigation. Well, obviously that's a Scottish Rite Freemasonry. And you also have people coming out saying it took them 7 days to put together this ceremony for him, which is the completion in Kabbalah. So the signs and symbols are there. We have Donald Trump also is involved with this Chabad sect, which are, in my opinion, Sabbatean Frankists. So you've got the black nobility, in my opinion, overseeing all of this madness around the Charlie Kirk situation and every situation. These families are widespread, go back hundreds if not thousands of years. They take their beliefs from the fact that they believe that they are descendants from the Anunnaki. Then we get into arguments over things like the Bavarian Illuminati and some of these 13 bloodlines like the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers, who are really just paper boys for these guys. This is where the true wealth is. You have people thinking Elon Musk's the wealthiest man in the world, or Jeff Bezos. It's total lunacy. These guys run the place. They run the world. And the Charlie Kirk situation was just an obvious sign that this still goes on. So, go and research into the black nobility yourself. Amy WTF does a fantastic book called Icke, where she covers much of the black nobility, different bloodlines and how they interconnect with each other. Again, it's so vast you can't fit it all in the little videos, but the main purpose of what we're doing is to show you that these bloodlines have not gone away. They are very much still in control, and they run through the likes of the Vatican, the City of London, the Knights Templar, the Knights of Malta, the Jesuits, Washington DC, Sabbatean Frankism. They're all aiming for this one world order, our Olam Habar, Temple on Temple Mount, probably arguing amongst each other on who gets what, where, and who's going to be in control. But ultimately, possibly, the real leaders are not of this visible light spectrum. Something's going on here, and they're looking up into the sky, and they're praising someone. They believe that there's someone there that they're answering to. I would say it's the evil creator blueprint god. You could call it the demiurge, Satan, Lucifer, Saturn. Again, people argue over names. It's a blueprint, it's a feeling within you, an evil creator god, a bad daddy. That's really all you need to know. The names are only there for communication purposes. So, the black nobility, something that hasn't gone away, is probably more powerful than ever. So join me next week for Focus. The choices are, shall we have a look into the relationship between Enki and Enlil, the two brothers of the Anunnaki, and their fight over the future of humanity? Or shall we look into Baron Trump's adventures underground, what that means today in symbolic terms? Or shall we have a look into a shape-shifting encounter and how the likes of David Icke believe that these things work? I shall see you next week. Take care, and thank you for the support with the show.